Hi, my name is Hillary Ellis, and first off, I'd just like to say that I've really enjoyed your class. When I first started going to school, I had picked accounting, and it was okay, but I wasn't really into it, and it never really clicked with me. But this class I have really enjoyed, and I feel like I've really been able to click with it, and I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for me in the future. So, thank you. And first off, I am going to talk about management. I have had a lot of personal experience and frustrations with management recently. I've been a manager in a couple different retail stores, so I understand the responsibilities and the importance and the frustrations and the craziness and everything like that. And I know that what I do now is completely different than that, but a lot of the same concepts still apply. And I've been lucky with the position that I do have, mostly because of the supervisor that I had when I was hired for my current position. She really looked more for work ethic and quality of work and the type of things that should be looked for when you're picking employees for important positions. The manager I have now is really she's great. She compensates us and rewards us really well for what we do and our hard work. But when she interviews new people, I've heard her say comments like she's cute. She drinks wine, so she'll fit in really well, and things like that. And those just aren't qualities that should be or are important for a potential employee. And more recently, in the floor below ours, they do a lot of things that tie into what we do. Not so much mine, because my job is a little bit separate than everybody else's, but they do affect a lot of my close coworkers. And that manager recently hired someone because of her seniority, and that was the only reason she was hired. She gets very frustrated. She gets very overworked, or so she says. She shuts down completely when she gets stressed. She's unapproachable. And a lot of different employees told this manager that they didn't want her as the leader because of these issues. But because she had been there the longest, that's what happened. And that's not okay. I understand seniority does have to play a little bit of a part, but if that employee doesn't show an outstanding work ethic and doesn't do their job well and try hard and, I mean, even do the bare minimum, that shouldn't qualify them as a leader. If they want a higher up position, they need to earn it. No matter how old, no matter how long you're there, earn it. And there was another position recently filled that some of the more hardworking people who keep their noses down, who do their jobs, who ask other people if they need help, who always say yes if anybody asks them for anything, was looked over for somebody completely out of the picture. And I heard that manager also say, she's cute. She looks like a hard worker. That's not okay to me. And it's frustrating to watch because I know what should happen, but I know what happens anyways in a place, in a lot of workplaces, to be honest. But now, after reading these chapters and really getting more in depth with everything, I know what I want to take for my future business or for my future job in order to implement that so that every person feels like they're fairly compensated and that they want to work hard enough to earn something, that they just don't sit there and think that it's handed to them. That's going to delay work. That's going to cause problems. There's going to be more issues than not. And too late, somebody's going to learn it was a bad decision. The second thing I'm going to talk about is marketing, which is actually what I am interested in going into. And there are two areas that I instantly had ideas for. The book referenced Snapchat, which I think is very underused. I am 27. I know I'm not old, but I'm kind of in the age group where Snapchat is kind of a thing, but we're not as addicted to it as the younger kids are. And I feel like kids these days, and yes, again, I'm not that old, kind of have an unrestricted access to parents' money. Parents don't say no as often, and they just kind of have free reign. They get these brand new phones, they get these name brand clothes, they get cars and things like that, in which older people would have worked harder for or had to earn more so of. So I think with that more unrestricted access to parents' money, taking that advertising and blowing up Snapchat, you really using it to its full potential is really going to help a lot of businesses, especially if they're marketing towards those younger age groups. Fast food, stores, bands, cell phone companies, everything like that. If they really focus on things like that, these kids are going to see it constantly, and it's just going to dig itself into their brain, and they're going to jump towards it. There was another idea that I had. I lived in Florida for 3 years, about 3 years ago, and luckily I missed that devastating hurricane, but I do have a lot of friends that are still there, and a year later are still dealing with the effects of that. Their lives are just torn apart. Nothing's the same. One of the places that I used to work, which was a 5-star restaurant on the beach, was closed for 8 months. That's a lot of money. 5-star restaurant, the tips were really well, and losing out on all that money is drastic. But I have noticed that like roofing companies and construction companies are hard to come by. Good, trustworthy ones are hard to come by. So I think if there was one that had the opportunity to, had the means, I should say, to go down there and to advertise and to push themselves as reliable and get jobs done, and word of mouth goes around and around and around. That's a huge opportunity for that company to make a lot of money in a terrible circumstance nonetheless. But to be able to do that, and maybe if they have the means to offer discounts and things like that, that really ties into what I'm going to talk about next, which is ethics, because it'll look good for them and help them in the long run. I really think that marketing is just as important as this chapter and these articles that we've all posted about in our latest discussion board are very, 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 very important. And focusing on that is very important. These insurance companies or cell phone companies or car companies that have jumped into using celebrities for everything is just genius, because we as a people really look up to and watch and focus on celebrities' lives and seeing the products that they use, even if they're not outright saying it's an ad. If they're you just using it and talking about it and displaying it, that makes us more inclined to look at that. So using them for promoting is very, very smart. Even if it does cost the company money, they're going to make way more money than they're going to lose by looking towards them. The same with YouTube influencers. YouTube has grown like crazy as well. That was the opening to chapter 14. And it's true. There's YouTube influencers, and Instagram influencers are this huge thing in probably 30s and younger, maybe a little bit older. And using them to promote your products is, everybody's going to jump on that bandwagon if they see somebody like Kylie Jenner or, there's a lot of them. I don't really watch YouTube, so there's a lot of different things that they promote that they can use. And that's just smart marketing. And I think being the person to come up with those ideas and coming up with those ideas and seeing everything just grow in front of you is just it's just wonderful. It's wonderful. The last thing I'm going to talk about is ethics. No matter what side of the global warming train you're on, there's no denying that more and more of the world is being used, and that is limiting our natural resources. So when I think of ethics, I like to focus more on the social corporate responsibility, where we or you as a business do something for the environment that helps the world, that helps people, that helps someone else. I talked about that coffee company that donates money to dog charities for the shelters for non-kill shelters. So, these sad little puppies can have a good life. And any kind of donation for hurricanes or global warming or animal testing, anything like that is going to make you not only look better, but it's going to make people more inclined. It's not so much about not being corrupt. I mean, that is important, but making an impact on the world or on other people or on other corporations, or showing people that you're trying to do the right thing, that you're doing something to help others and not just being completely selfish, is important and is beneficial. And I think there are ways that the government or other banks or something like that could make opportunities for companies for discounts. Or, I mean, they do tax cuts on things like that. And I know that's still benefiting a business, but it's also promoting more good change in the world. Not being corrupt, however, is still very important. I mean, you see a lot of cool movies where they're Wolf of Wall Street, things like that, where they're getting crazy and they're going corrupt and they're making tons of money, which is so exciting. But it really makes a bad turn for everybody else on the market. So it's important to do what you're supposed to, do it well, and just be a good business. And that's going to be your best opportunity for growth and your best opportunity for success. So those were my 3 topics, and thank you again.